What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video. It is Sunday, May 21st, and we are 20 days out from my half marathon. It's getting closer and closer. I'm getting more and more excited. Before we jump into the topic of today's video, let me just address the elephant in the room. Yeah, I cut my hair. It's summer is in full effect here. So I wanted a fresh cut to feel a little bit lighter. Plus, shorter hair is easier to maintain. So cut the hair, feeling good, and let's jump into today's video. Today I wanted to kind of do a Q&A. Like I said, we are 20 days out from the half marathon. So prep is starting to come to a close. We're stacking the final bricks, and I wanted it to give my viewers a chance to ask me questions about how my half marathon prep has been going. So I did drop a question box on my Instagram a couple days ago. Thank you to those of you who responded with a question. I'm looking forward to answering them. With that being said, we're gonna treat this like a day in the life and split up the Q&A throughout the day. Sundays are usually pretty chill days for me. I do a lot of preparing for the week, laundry, journaling, a little bit of meal prep, that kind of thing. So as I go throughout my day, I'll take you along with me and we'll answer the questions that you guys post. So we're gonna kick it off. Before I get into everything for the day, we're gonna kick it off with a couple of questions. So the first question is going to be, am I focusing on weekly mileage or total running time? So the answer to that is I am focusing on total mileage, total weekly mileage, as opposed to run time. Throughout this prep, the mileage has increased weekly at a safe rate to get my body into shape and get my body ready for the half marathon. I do 3 runs a week. 2 of them are set short runs, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 miles each, and then Saturdays are my long runs, and the long runs have been the ones progressing in mileage as the weeks have gone on. One more question before we jump into what the day has in store. What has been the most surprising thing you've discovered during prep? The most surprising thing I've discovered during this prep is how much I really enjoy it. Before November of last year, running was not something that I did. I started doing it because I wanted a new challenge, and then in the new year I decided to sign up for this half marathon to further push myself and commit myself to staying consistent with this new challenge. And as the weeks have progressed throughout the prep, I find myself really looking forward to my runs. I want to run on days that I'm not scheduled to run. I'm really enjoying the process, seeing how my body has adapted and changed, not only physically but on the mental side as well. So yeah, did not expect to enjoy it as much as I have been enjoying it. So one of the things that I enjoy doing on a Sunday is journaling, reflecting back on the week that has passed and writing down any thoughts about that week that are at the surface and that I want to get down on paper to look back to at a later time. In addition to that, I also subscribe to a couple of weekly newsletters that are really thought-provoking, pose good questions, and so I'll read through them, reflect on them as well. This next question kind of piggybacks off of the previous question, and this question is, What are unexpected realizations or lessons learned from the process? So I actually have a couple. The first one being that running is definitely more of a mental challenge than it is a physical challenge. Yes, your body needs to learn to adapt to the process, to what you're doing, but the mental battle that you have in your head as you're running, as you get tired, as you start to cramp up, or whatever the case may be, the mental battle is going to be the one that proves you to be successful or not. Second one is, nobody ever tells you how much your knees hurt as you get into higher mileages. I've consumed a lot of running content over the past year or so, and I don't think I've ever really heard anybody talk about the joint pain that comes from logging lots of miles. When I first started experiencing the joint pain, I was like, holy cow. Like, why was I never prepared for this? So in order to help with the joint pain, I did start taking a joint supplement from BPN, of course. Support link is down in the description box. Shameless plug, I know. But that joint supplement has been helping a lot with the achiness. The last lesson or realization that I will touch on is preparation for a long run begins at least 2 days before. So I found this out the hard way about 5 weeks ago when I had a 9-mile run. After I finished the run, I completely bombed. I felt like total crap afterwards. So I reached out to my coach and said, you know, hey, I don't want this to happen again. What are some tips that you can give me to help me feel properly for next week's run, which was a 10-mile run? He encouraged me to eat a little bit more than I usually do, carb load a little bit, as well as increase the amount of fluids, water, and electrolytes. And I did that, and it proved to be a huge help for my 10-mile run. So ever since then, I have been implementing that. At least 2 days out, I will start consuming some more carbs, start consuming more electrolytes and water to get the body ready to take on that large effort. One more question. Are you allowed to listen to music during your race? If so, what are you listening to? That is actually a really good question, because when I run, I don't actually listen to music. I am a podcast listener. I found that in the past, music would mess with my heart rate, it would mess with my cadence. When I started running more consistently, I decided to give podcasts a try and see how that works with my pacing, with my breathing, everything like that, and it works phenomenally. So I listen to podcasts when I run, and as far as am I allowed to listen to them on race day, my coach has not said anything about me not being allowed to listen to anything during race day, so I do plan to have my headphones on and some podcasts going during the race. As far as the podcasts that I do listen to, there are a few great ones that I'm listening to. The Nick Bear podcast, Project Endure podcast, of course. I also listen to Elevate Your Running. The AIM podcast is a really good one. Okay, so as I finish up folding up my laundry, we're going to answer a few more questions. So, the next question is, what is my favorite and least favorite part about this half marathon prep? There are actually two things that I would consider my favorite about this half marathon prep. The first one is that feeling of accomplishment after I finish a run. Runs are usually the hardest part of my day, so after finishing them up, like there's no better feeling of accomplishment. The second favorite thing about prep for me is picking out what I'm going to wear to run. I have a lot of workout clothes, so I love going the night before and looking at what I have and figuring out what outfit I want to wear to run, because if you pick out a dope outfit, you feel better during the run. Or at least I do. My least favorite part about half marathon prep probably has to be the feeling when you're first getting into a run. After the warm up, getting into the run, your body still doesn't know quite what's going on yet, so it takes the legs a little bit to figure out, like, oh, we're running. Cool. Let's warm up. Let's open up. So it takes me a little bit of time, or it takes my legs little bit of time to realize that we're moving. We're getting this thing done. Next question. What have I learned new about myself? And that's a really good one. I learned that I'm mentally stronger than I ever gave myself credit for. Because running is hard. Running is hard not only physically, but also mentally. And starting to run consistently was something that I never thought I would do. It's something that I'm really proud that I'm doing. To be able to stick to a running routine for this amount of time and working towards a big goal, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of commitment. So the fact that I'm still hanging in there, still hitting every run like I'm supposed to, that is something that I'm really proud of. Next question, what have you learned new about running? So the thing I learned new about running, or one new thing I've learned about running, is that not every run is going to be the same. Running, I think, is very subjective based on how your body is feeling on that day that you're going for a run. Not just physically, but mentally as well. So every run is going to be different. It's not always going to be your fastest run. You're not always going to feel good going into it. You might not always feel good coming out of it either. So there are many different variables that affect how a run will go. And I'm still learning as I continue to complete new runs, just how subjective the sport of running can be. Alright guys, we got about 4 questions left. Figured we could wrap them up real quick. It's a little bit later in the day. I put the wash away, did some meal prep. I would have loved to film and answer the last 4 questions while I was doing meal prep, but the house got a little bit crazy. The house got a little bit loud. For those that don't know, I do live in a shared house, so not really ideal film conditions when I was trying to meal prep. So we're wrapping it up here with the last 4 questions. The next question is, do you have any specific goals you want to accomplish with your half marathon? I have 2. The first one is to have fun, and the second one is to finish. I don't have any major time goals right now. My Coros watch puts me at about a 3.5 hour finishing time, which for a half marathon, yes, I know is slow. But remember, this is my first half marathon, and I'm a little bit of a slower paced runner. So if I can keep within that 3.5 hours, awesome. If I finish before then, even more awesome. But the main goals for me are to have fun and to just finish the race. Next question is, would you go back and do anything different? And the answer to that is no. I'm very happy with how this half marathon prep has progressed so far. I started it out really well from the beginning. I had a coach guide me through the proper progression of how to increase my mileage every week. I did pretty good with fueling and everything like that. I did learn my lesson on my 9-mile run. Yeah, I think I did pretty well with this half marathon prep so far. I mean, I've got about 20 days left before the actual event, but I feel solid. There were some lessons that I had to learn along the way, but once I learned them, I adjusted and adapted as needed. So no, I wouldn't do anything different. Second to last question, we got, what has been the toughest moment so far? The toughest moment for me so far has been that feeling that I felt at the end of my 9-mile run. That run keeps coming up a lot in this Q&A, but that was one of the most absolute worst feelings I've ever had after a run. And again, it was my fault. I didn't fuel properly, I didn't hydrate properly, and in the end, I paid for it. So that was the toughest moment, and I think even after that, I was a little scared as to what if this happens again. But then also I knew that if I just reached out and asked for help for how to prevent that from happening again, I would be okay. And the last question that we have for this Q&A piggybacks off of the previous question, but it is, what has been the most enjoyable moment? And for me, that answer has been showing myself that I can do this, that I can put in the work, that I can stay consistent and show up every run, even if I'm feeling bad or if I'm not 100% mentally there for that run and, you know, maybe just don't feel like doing it. There were a couple of runs that I've had where it's just like, okay, I have to go run today. But for the most part, I've been excited to run. I've been excited to see the progress that I'm making week after week, and just proud of myself for all the work that I've been putting in. That's going to conclude this Q&A. Again, I thank everyone who submitted questions, who submitted multiple questions. Shout out to my friend Greg for asking so many great questions. I hope I answered everyone's questions well enough. There were some really, really great questions in here. But we're going to call it a day. There's some other things I want to do before settling in for the night, settling in and preparing and settling in to mentally prepare for the work week ahead. I appreciate everyone for watching this. If you're new here, just stumbled across the channel, welcome. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow along with the journey, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.